For Yah righteousness, Jerusalem, and the Holy See, God bless to our national and international audience. Peace to everyone. This is September the 10th, 2022. The Q&A to the session, September the 7th, 2022. Hope everybody is in greatest health as possible, and I pray that all of you heard the session. I know it was kind of in and out for a while. And on the stream anyway, but again, Yah is great. He basically let it play without any problems per se. And again, if you missed any of it, we'll play it again next week, because Esau is always listening with the Pegasus and the Nimbus and all of that stuff. But Yah lets us, he lets his word get out. And we do all we can to make sure that, we're the honest and upright and righteous purveyors of Yah's word. We do our best to be the conduits, that Yah brings his truth and illumination through. A few things in the session. I said Daniel chapter 9 verse 26 about the prophecy about the wall and the street being built is really Daniel chapter 9 verse 25. And something else that I was going to mention is kind of escaping me now. Maybe I'll bring it back to me, but I hope all of you could see and understand just what was put forth in the session in regards to, we have to be totally committed and submitted. We have to be in harmony with this guideline. That's why, again, we have to read, we have to study, we have to pray toward Jerusalem, to Yah, and we have to do what we read. Which again, Yah's been preparing us over the years. Preparing us, getting us, ready to be brought back. All of us who are totally committed and submitted in obeying Yah and understanding that Yah has to be obeyed. And he's also been preparing the elite of the earth at the same time, at least from the time that the monarchies were sprinkled. Which again, this month is the 18th anniversary. I said in the session too, at first I said August was the anniversary from the monarchies being sprinkled, but it's really this month. I said it later, but I'm just making sure that all of you got it. I didn't want to have anything that was misconstrued. This month is the 18th year from when the monarchies were sprinkled. Last month was the 16th year from when Yah, as he says in the 33rd chapter of Yeshaya, started to lift himself up. Okay? And that was in 2006, August 2006. The Edomites were hewing Lebanon down, as you see in that 33rd chapter, Yeshaya. And that's when Yah started to lift himself up. And that's when he brought this movement into the sight, started to bring it into the sight of the people of the world and those who actually looking for Yah. How's the sound? Because I see some say the sound is down. Can you hear it better now? Can you hear me better now? What about you, Rivka? Okay. And last month was the 16th year, you know, from 2006. And then also, this is the 36th year this month from when the movement was established. I want to make sure everybody's not confused about that. September 1986. And that's when the movement was established. And then it was 501c3 in March of 1987. And that became a finality when we got past the advanced ruling period in 1992, 5 years after it had been 501c3. So again, you know, we've been here for a while, but like I said in the session, and it's still going on, you know, being refined, you know, seeing more things always, you know, hopefully, you know, more illumination Yah brings. I was just on the phone, Jacob and YHWH called, and because their situation, they're not able to come into the room. They don't have that kind of setup anymore, but they'll eventually listen to the sessions. And again, Jacob and YHWH, they study the first 5 books real hard, Genesis through Deuteronomy, and they, you know, they called to tell me, because YHWH was like saying that a ways back, a sister had brought in one of the Q&As, she had brought about the Exodus chapter 19 and verse, you know, really it basically, you know, you start that chapter from the top, right? And this is when Yah brought us to, you know, Mount Horeb at Sinai, after he brought us out of Egypt as a nation. And he told Moshe and Aaron to get the people prepared, because he was going to descend to top Mount Sinai and speak to the people to prove them, right? And in actuality, you know, to anoint Moshe in the sight of all the people, because the people saw, you know, Moshe go up into the mountain, and they heard Yah's voice, and he proved the people. And that, you know, that's when you get Deuteronomy 18, when the people, you know, the elders basically, you know, got the word from the people, and they went and told Moshe, you know, ask Yah not to talk to us anymore, because if we keep hearing his voice, we're going to die. We can't take it. And again, that's what it's talking about in Malachi chapter 2, the wife of our youth, we entered into an everlasting covenant. That's when Yah, you know, made us his firstborn of the nations, when we heard his voice, and we swore we would do whatever Yah said to do, and at the same time consecrating Moshe in the sight of the people, you know. And they were saying to me, that's again, you know, what we see later on. The 70 elders were brought up right into the mountain, and they saw Yah in the distance. But also later on in the book of Numbers, you know, when the children of Kohath, you know, confronted Moshe and Aaron, and you know, they didn't like how Yah had set it up. So basically they were going against Yah. But in so doing, you know, when Yah told Moshe and Aaron what to tell the people, right, to get themselves prepared to come to the mount, but don't touch the mount. And they had to, you know, sanctify themselves over a 3-day period. On the 3rd day, they would come before the mount, right? And you see what it says in verse 13 in chapter 19, Exodus, right? There shall not a hand touch the mountain, right? But he shall surely be stoned or shot through, you know, because you go back to verse the 11, right? And this is Yah, verse 10. And Yah said unto Moshe, go unto the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes and be ready against the third day. For the third day I will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And you shall set bounds unto the people round about, saying, take heed to yourselves, that you go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned, he or she, stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come up to the mount. Now, this is why we got the blowing of the trumpets on the first day of the 7th month. And that's what this is in, you know, the blowing of the trumpets is in reference to and in memorial to, right? Blowing of the trumpets. And Yah made us a nation of priests, a kingdom of priests forever. Because again, you know, it's a forever thing. So that's what makes it the kingdom, because the kingdom is Yah's, right? And this is a continuous situation, right? Where we are to become a kingdom of priests. You see what I'm saying? Knowing Yah's laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commands, and precepts, learning them, again, which takes us to that Yeremiah chapter 31, verse 31, right? A new covenant. The new covenant is everybody's got to know the law. Everybody has to have that law in their heart, right? And the laws and the statutes, ordinances, judgments, commands, and precepts. Again, as I said before, you know, we're learning the laws. We're getting them, you know, more and more in our heart. And whatever we don't know, we know where to go to get it, right? We go to the sure foundation, the tried cornerstone, right? YHWH chapter 28, which is the law and all the attributes of the law. We come into this book of remembrance. That's why I said in this session, you know, it's just like when I look at a lot of these brothers and sisters who know that they're Israel, and you see some of these sisters who know they're Israel, you know, they're not dressed sometimes with discretion, you know, they bare themselves, their chests, and, you know, short dresses or whatever, or tight clothes. You see what I'm saying? I see the brothers, you know, lining their heads, you know, edging, you know, the corners, their beards and whatnot. That's all against the law, right? And again, you know, just like I said, you know, in this session, right, the Demona movement promulgated veganism, and we're not supposed to be vegans. Okay? You know, Yah says in the law, we shall eat meat. And he differentiates the clean from the unclean. So, just like the Sabbath day, you know, we have to be in wherever our dwelling is. When the Sabbath day comes, that's where we have to be, at rest. Okay? You got some people who will say, as Yada pointed out to me earlier, you know, some people on the stream, or a person on the stream was saying that we're violating the Sabbath day by doing these sessions on the Sabbath day. But again, when you go to chapter 58, YHWH, go there and read it, and you'll see what Yah says about those who draw out their soul, okay, to the hungry. And when it says hungry there, it's not talking about food, just like in YHWH chapter 55. It's talking about this word, okay? And through this device of the internet, this word goes out across the earth to who and whomever is hungry and looking forward. So again, you know, people who you know, make these statements, they need to read more, they need to contemplate more, they need to pray more, they need to consider more, you know, because like I said, you go to chapter 58, YHWH, and it tells us what we are to do on the 7th day Sabbath. You follow me? we can definitely talk, but we're not to speak our own words. And these are not my words. These are, we're directing, this movement directs everybody to the Creator and to, reading the book. And again, anybody that doesn't want to come into the room, Pal Talk room on the Sabbath day and hear any of these sessions that we play, or, they don't want to come in when we do a session, that's fine. They don't have to. I've said that in the past. Okay. These are for any people who, want to come in, feel free. If you don't, feel free not to. Okay. But you're still supposed to be in at rest, breaking the yoke, right? Not pursuing our own pleasures, speaking our own words, right? And as I said, these are not my words. And again, we're supposed to be studying, reading, and when we do study and read, I mean, you can sleep all day on the Sabbath if that's what you want to do. If you can do that, I've never been able to sleep, all day. Okay, and I sleep less now than I used to years ago. But there's reasons for that. But again, to discuss, to counsel, that's what we do on the Sabbath day. As I said, Jacob and YHWH just called, and we were, they were, put some things to me. And then we discussed some other things, counseled on some other things, looking at this situation that has just occurred. Because when I did the session, Elizabeth had not transitioned yet, right? And I've been asked since she's transitioned, what do I think about it? And, we were looking at Democracy Now! Yesterday, Friday. And for all of you might not have watched it, if you get a chance, check it out. They quoted this Nigerian sister. She's in her early 40s, graduated out of early 40s. It was early 40s. Yeah, early 40s. She graduated out of this college, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Oh, that's where she works now. But she's a college graduate, knowledgeable. Like I said, Nigerian. But they, she put out on the a tweet, what have you, on the internet that she didn't have anything for Elizabeth, and she hoped that she died in pain, and she hoped that it was excruciating. And the reason why is because she talked about Britain and how Elizabeth held up this, this British colonization over her tenure of 70 years, ruling, being the queen, and how Britain had decimated her people and many other peoples of the earth in their colonization. And she, hoped that, she experienced excruciating pain leading up to her death. I don't get into that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Yah says in the book, he doesn't enjoy anybody, he doesn't take pleasure in anybody's death. Okay? Even the wicked. But again, I mean, that's what Elizabeth was trained to do, and she did it, right? But, as Yada and I were talking this morning, and then I was talking with Jacob and YHWH, just like I said, right before the Q&A. And we were discussing that. And as I said to them, I don't know just what Yah did with her. Because, see, we sprinkled them again, as I said, it's been 18 years since we sprinkled the monarchy, Yeshaya chapter 52. And, we sent a flyer to Elizabeth with her name on it, to Philip with his name on it, who transitioned here, what was about a year and a half or so now, he transitioned. Year and a half to 2 years. We sent one to Charles with his name on it. We sent one to Andrew with his name on it. We sent one to William with his name on it. We sent one to Harry with his name on it. Okay. As we sent, flyers to the other 5 monarchies that we sent flyers to. Sweden, Denmark, Netherlands, Norway, Belgium. I don't know what possibly Yah actually did through Elizabeth and Philip, for that matter, in regards to, what might have been conveyed to Charles. I don't know what Yah has actually maybe put on Charles or William or Harry or, Andrew for that, in that manner. But as I said to them, we see what, Yah did through Pharaoh in regards to Yahuseh, right? We see what Yah did through Nebuchadnezzar, right? In regards to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. We know that the monarchies had to be sprinkled. That's why we did it. Like I said, 18 years ago, 2004, September 2004. And I would think, and in my mind, I'm positive and sure that Yah has worked on them as it's so expressed in the 41st chapter of Yeshaya, right? Once they were sprinkled with the publication, then the Spirit of Yah started to work on them, to shape and form them to whatever degree. Okay? So again, whatever went on with them, quite naturally, that's rest with them. I don't know what possibly was said before Philip or her transition. Okay? It could be that Yah brought them something, that needed to be said. Okay? But the deal is we did what we were instructed to do. And that's all that matters in regards to what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to follow this guideline to the T, to the letter. Again, that's part of my prayers. I only want to do what Yah wants done, not to add nor diminish therefrom. Simple as that. And that's why, we wait on Yah patiently. I brought this up in the session, right? And you see this time and again in the book. You see it in Psalm. David talked about it, right? You see it, again, that's what's conveyed to us. Yaakov and Hadassah just said to me a little while ago that they're looking at, what David wrote in the Psalm about, a day is like 1,000 years to Yah, right? And so they went back and they were looking at, Genesis chapter 1, and each one of those days, right? 6 days leading up to the day of rest. Each one of those days is like 1,000 years. And they're saying to me, because Yah is very meticulous, right, in what he does. So, I listened, and I'm not doubting it. Okay. But I'm still contemplating it as of right now. Because again, as I said to them, nothing's too hard for Yah. So, would it take Yah 1,000 years to create the earth, right? Would it take Yah 1,000 years to put the sun up and the moon and the host of heaven. So, you know, food for thought, right? But everything Yah does has a purpose. And he's very meticulous. You know? And that's what we should be. You know, as those of us who've been reading and studying and praying and doing and following this guideline, and those of you out there who've been plugged into this movement for however long you've been plugged into it, and you hear the things we say, and it's times when, you know, I make a mistake, or the things I say, and I make a mistake, okay, but Yah will correct it at some point, and I'll come back and you know, correct that to all of you. And again, as we see in Yeshaya chapter 28, it's, you know, trial and error, right? Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Sometimes you get snared, and then Yah shows you what the real deal is, and then you have to make correction. You have to acknowledge that you were wrong about something, okay? And we do that, okay? Because again, I understand, you know, many that I talk to on a regular basis, or, you know, per se, and I'm sure many of you out there, hopefully all of you, understand it's not about us. Like I just said in this session, that was one of the problems, that one of the obstacles that the Demona movement has not gotten beyond, at least not now, not at this point. Hopefully, you know, some of them are starting to see that, but I know they're not going to truly understand it until the Jerusalem movement is brought back and set in the midst of them. And again, that's the back end of chapter 41, Yeshaya, the last two verses, right? When the first shall say to Zion, behold, behold them, right? That's when the Jerusalem movement is brought back, lifted up, like you see in Yeshaya chapter 52 at the back end of the chapter, right? The kings shall shut their mouths at him, for that which had not been told them shall they see, that which they had not heard shall they consider. That's the sprinkling of them. That's, you know, Yah says in 41, you shall have raised up one from the north, from the rising of the sun shall he call upon my name, and I shall bring him upon princes or kings, same thing, like upon mortar, like the potter treads clay. Okay? So preparation, preparation, preparation. And that's what Yah has been doing with those of us who have sought him out. Okay? And if you're seeking him, chapter 45, Yeshaya, he's going to let you find him. Right? Because peace, truth, righteousness, salvation, equity, rest with him. Right? Prosperity, true prosperity, rest with him. And if you're looking for the true and living creator, quite naturally, that's him, that's Yah. And again, looking for any one of those things, a combination that thereof, he's going to lead you to him. And then you have to make decisions on what you're going to do. So, those of us who have sought him out, he's brought us to him. He's been preparing us night and day, all in accordance with our commitment and submission to him, to his laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts. And that's the preparation, right? Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. So we can understand the magnitude of Yah, the righteousness of Yah. He keeps his word. Nothing returns to him void. Nothing. And his word, wherever he sends it, is to accomplish his will. And as I, just reiterating the conversation I just had with Kobe Hadassah, I know this is, the whole thing is being hastened, as he so spoke of in Yeshaya. He would hasten it in the time of his servant. And his servant, again, as I said in the session I've said before, Yeshaya chapter 62, he said out of his mouth he would call his servants you know, he would name them by another name, right? And as we see in Jeremiah chapter 23, right? It ended up being called, it was to be called by the name of Yah, right? Yah, our righteousness, because he is our righteousness. Just that simple. And not only our righteousness, but the righteousness of the people of the earth, because, again, he's the creator of us all. So, you know, we see the problems, right? The distress that the earth is in, right? We see the distress and discontentment and the indebtedness of the people of the earth, right? Because again, the people of the earth are definitely distressed. You know, you've got, I would say, billions of people discontented, and you definitely see indebtedness in this, you know, to the International Bank and the Amalekite Edomites, right? First of the nation, Number chapter 24. And people are becoming more indebted every day. Yada brought something else somebody put up on the stream. What about how I've been talking about the collapse of the dollar for the last 8 years, but in fact, that lets you know this person really hasn't been plugged into y'all rights, because I've been talking about it longer than that. Okay, the last 8 years just takes you back to 2014. I've been talking about the collapse of the dollar since back around 2008, you know, 2009, possibly maybe even a little before that, because I talked about the Money Masters tape that, you know, I was able to acquire back around 1994. And I watched that. I haven't watched it lately, but I watched it when I got it about 2-3 times. And I've mentioned it, you know, to all of you. If you go back through the website, I mentioned it, you know, back in the past. And William Steele and those, you know, bankers, old, you know, ex-bankers or sons of ex-bankers or Wall Streeters, you know, who are on that Money Masters tape, they, you know, again, they talk about the collapse of basically all fiat currency, okay? Because all fiat currency collapses, and that's what we're watching now. And again, when I've talked about this, this person said, I've been talking about it for the last 8 years. Well, again, I've been talking about it longer than that. And why would, you know, what was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to wait until it, you know, right before it collapsed, or a week before it collapsed, or 2 days before it collapsed, or 5 months before it collapsed? The deal is, when you see a thing, you're supposed to bring it out, okay? Because Yah has basically set this as a watch, you know, this movement as a watchman to bring, you know, the illumination that he has brought to this movement and through this movement to the people, so that you can prepare yourselves, okay, against what is been happening for a long time now. I mean, systematically, the collapse of the fiat currencies of the earth. And all of these fiat currencies basically are in trouble. This is why we're seeing what's happening definitely in Western Europe, over here in America, but across the earth. And this is why these nations that make up the BRICS are talking about, you know, and they're from what I can see, they're in the process of setting up, you know, this Asian bank. And I don't doubt that this Illuminati member or members that are connected with that, right? But they're going to back, from what I understand, you know, the Russian ruble, the Indian rupee, the South African rand, the yuan or renminbi, the Chinese yuan or renminbi, and I don't know what the Brazilian currency is called. I I don't know what that's called. Maybe somebody out there knows, you popped up on the screen. But again, they're going to back these basket of currencies with so much gold. And from what I understand, what I've heard, it's like 100 nations, ready to join in with them. Okay, you understand? The real. Thank you. Yeah, but the real is the Brazilian currency, but this is all fiat currencies, and they're ready. It's like 100 different nations ready to join in with them, okay? Because you've got many people now who see that these fiat currencies that are backed by nothing but guns and a promise, they're easy to inflate, and this is an attack. This is collapse. When they inflate these currencies, that's what's going on now, and they're not backed by anything. It's caused everything to go up in price, right? And so people's savings, right, bank accounts getting drained. I just heard a few days ago where credit card usage is at its highest level basically ever, right? People using these credit cards to purchase, credit card debt. So, inflation is setting in rapidly, exponentially, more and more and more every day. And we see it, I see it when I go, shopping to the store, prices, you know what I'm saying? They're like unstable. Here about a month, 5-6 weeks ago, I went to get some peanut oil. It was, for 16 ounces, it was $14, organic peanut oil. Then here a few weeks ago, I go to the store and it was down to 12 something for 16 ounces. I just went to the store here Thursday and it was 12 something. You know what I mean? So, and many things are that way. Quite naturally, energy, right? And I mean, they're like a grasshopper on a hot grill over there in Western Europe. I mean, they're really afraid because they don't know. They know that energy to heat their homes and their places, and to pay for energy and heat, especially and petrol, it's going to be very high this winter. And not only is it going to be high, you've got some of these countries don't even know if they're going to be able to access it, if they're even going to have heat. Okay? See, so, we're living in a very volatile economic, time, unstable. And that's because of the volatility and the collapse of these fiat currencies, these paper currencies. And that's why I've said through the years, like I said, it's been about 14, 15 years now that, you need to transfer whatever you can of fiat currencies over into hard currency, silver, gold, silver, even some of these other metals, platinum possibly. Brother told me he was getting copper because he knew where to get copper. It really wasn't that high. He called and asked me, what did I think about it? I said, hey, copper's a precious metal, and it's essential in a lot of things. So, that's what people are, looking for, places to take the fiat and put it into something that will appreciate or at least maintain its value. Okay, you don't get into these things to get rich, but you get into these, silver, gold, copper, platinum, palladium even, right, to maintain your buying power. And as we said in the past, silver and gold have a 6,000 year history of maintaining their value, holding the value, not depreciating. Okay, and because that's what you don't want. I mean, you got people who had, $1 million fiat currency that used to at one time, would buy actual, it would buy, it had that worth, when the fiat currency was king of currencies in the earth, backed by gold. But as of August 1971, when they took the gold back in from the dollar, the fiat dollar, it, everybody who had those dollars immediately experienced 300 to 500% inflation over the coming, period of time, and even more so now. Okay, because when I've said to people, and I've said to all of you in the past, I can remember when, gallon of gas was 18 cents. You know what I mean? I said that one day in the gas station here a few years back, and people, they didn't even look around at me. God, but they got this look on their face like, what? You know what I'm saying? Because they can't even imagine that today. A gallon of gas costs 18 cents, right? I just got some gas here the other day. It was over $4. Okay? You see what I'm saying? And that was cheap, $4.07. Okay? And that's looked upon as, inexpensive today. You follow me? Because a lot of places is over $5. You know what I mean? So, or in the high fours, So, this time is very volatile. And, as I said in this session, said in the last few sessions, what we're watching is the systematic collapse of this fourth dominion of man. It's crumbling right before our eyes. Many people don't understand what they're seeing because they don't have any knowledge of the word of Yah. Simple as that. So this is why, again, you hear people say different things that if you have knowledge of Yah, it makes you wonder, how sturdy, strong you are, in the word of Yah. If you're strong in the word of Yah, and you hear people say, a lot of things that you're hearing is so nonsensical. It makes no sense at all. Because we're using and we're supposed to use the word of Yah to judge ourselves, everything and everybody, right? And again, if we're knowledgeable of what Yah said He was going to do in the end of these four dominions of man, we're, as I just said, we're watching the collapse, the crumbling. Daniel chapter 2, right? Because again, I look at when the monarchies were sprinkled, that's when the stone cut out of the other side of the mountain without hands actually hit the image of the four dominions of man in the feet and toes, part iron, part clay. So again, if you're knowledgeable of chapter 2 Daniel, you know what's supposed to happen when that happened, right? You're starting to see the cracking and the crumbling and the destruction of, these four dominions of man. And definitely, you see the feet and toes were totally destroyed, when the stone hit them, and then the cracks started to go up into the image, all the way up to the crown that's sitting on the image's head, right? In other words, all the way back to the first dominion of man, which was the Babylonian dominion, and what Daniel was shown. And that's again, dissecting that Babylonian dominion, looking at it for the truth of it, and what happened to Nebuchadnezzar, what Yah did to him, how Yah made himself known. And we see that in Daniel chapter 4, what Nebuchadnezzar wrote, right, about Yah when he finally came to understand that Yah and Yah alone was He who creates, that there were no other creators. We see what Yah did in the Persian situation. We see what Cyrus said in Ezra chapter 1, right? That Yah was the creator, He was the Most High. You follow what I'm saying? And again, Yah had already talked about Cyrus in Yeshaya chapter 45 and the last verse in chapter 44, right? About how Cyrus, He would make Cyrus great, in regards to man on earth. That's how it's written, right? We know Yah is really the only one that's great. but he would make Cyrus great amongst men. He would give him a great name, just like what he said about David. He made David a great name, like other men who he had made great, in the earth. The difference is that, David's name would live on forever as being the servant of Yah of hosts, and that throne, right, that Yah would established in Jerusalem, that the prince would sit on, the governor, not the king, because Yah is the king, right? And that's the seed of David. The bloodline of David would go on forever. So, nothing returns to Yah void. And this is what Yah is in the midst of doing, setting up the first dominion that was ever on earth, and setting it up again, this time, forever, the everlasting dominion. His dominion, where he'll reign over the earth forever. But again, it's a process, right? We have to return to Yah, and then we have to purge ourselves as we are instructed in Jeremiah chapter 10, Proverbs 3:31. I mean, that's the tenor of the book, to purge ourselves from the ways of the heathen. But you can't do that unless you can identify the ways of the heathen, the ways of man, because the way of Yah is not the way of man. The way of man is not the way of Yah. That's why man has to adapt to Yah. Yah does not adapt to us. See, so that's again why it's not our way, it's his way that we have to adapt to. So when anybody uses, the terminology of my life, my way, they weren't about Yah. Just that simplistic, is it not? It's our life, but it's Yah's way, and we have to adapt to it. We have to assimilate to it. And you cannot bring any of the ways of man into the way of Yah, right? And that's the whole, what's being conveyed to the reader in Daniel chapter 2, right? The stone cut out of the mountain, out of the clay, without hands. And when the stone hits the image of the four dominions of man, Babylonian, Persian, Greek, right? And then this last dominion, the diversified dominion, right? Of which the illuminated Amalekite Edomites were to rise to the dominion of this fourth dominion, right? It's still diversified because it's not just one family, it's a group of families, we said in the past. But it's illuminated Amalekite International Bank and Edomites that actually have the dominion. And so again, as we've said, right, recompense. And what did God say? He would take all the wisdom and understanding out of all the Edomites, right? The mount of Esau. That's over there in one chapter, Obadiah, right? And we know wisdom is the principal thing, according to what Solomon, Yah brought through Solomon, the wisest man ever would be. Nothing that you can desire can be compared to wisdom, which is the ability to apply what you know to its highest level. And again, that's why it says, right? So therefore get wisdom, but with all thy getting, get understanding. Understanding is the knowledge. And again, the prefix to knowledge is K-N-O-W. Know. What you know, not what you believe, not what you think, not what you feel, not what you accept, but what you know, what you substantiated and confirmed. And again, this is why this movement substantiates and confirms. This is why doing these sessions through the years, we have brought out prophecies that have been fulfilled historically all the way to this day. And every time we're able to do that, every time Yah allows us to be able to bear witness to a fulfillment of his word, it underscores what? That Yah is the king. And that there is no other. So that's why we do the sessions. That's why we've been doing the sessions. That's what we're supposed to do, right? This movement, Yah, our righteousness. We see it in Yeshaya chapter 57, right? To remove the stumbling blocks out of the way of the people, right? To break our clods. And those who know about agriculture, right? You know what breaking of the clods, what that, implies, right? And that's to remove the stumps, the stones, so that the field can be plowed, that the seed can be sown, that a harvest can be reaped. And in this case, it's the harvest of Yah. Okay? And not just the descendants of Israel, but descendants of the human family. Okay? But Yah does this through Israel because, again, as I said, Jacob and Yadasso called and they, were bringing to me about this blowing of the trumpets the first day of the 7th month, which is next month. We acknowledge, which is put forth in that, Exodus chapter 19, right? Verse 13, right? Again, that's what it signified when Yah, had the trumpets blown and he descended upon atop Mount Sinai and spoke to the children of Israel. He brought us into an everlasting covenant. This is when he made us his firstborn of the nations, right? And we entered into an everlasting covenant with Yah, heard his voice, the only nation to ever hear the voice of the Creator. As it says over there in Malachi chapter 2, the wife of our youth, we entered into a covenant, an everlasting covenant. And that's an everlasting responsibility and obligation that we are responsible to keep. This is again why Yah was so upset with the descendants of Jerusalem. That's why he put a double curse on the descendants of Jerusalem. Because as I mentioned in this session, what did Jeremiah say in chapter 5 of his book? I've been speaking to the poor and foolish of my people who don't know the law. Let me get myself to the great men. In other words, the priesthood, you understand? The Levites, the judges, right? And again, priests, Levites, right? Priesthood keeps all of the, holy sacrifices of Yah. They handle all of that. The Levites assist them, but they are judges. They, you understand, know the law, right? And also the princes, without question, the governor, right? Who has to read in the book of the law every day once he gets on the throne, right? And he has to maintain the law. And this is Jerusalem, the princes, right? Know the law, at least back then. But now it's a new covenant, right? Again, 31:31, you remember. Everybody's got to read. It's again, everybody got to read, study, pray, and do. Again, I was having the conversation with the brother the other day, and I said earlier this week in the session, right? He called and he was like, it might have been even toward the end of last week. He called and, matter of fact, you know what? I think it was Sunday, because Yada was cooking, and it was getting near dinner time, and he called, and I answered the phone. And so in talking, I went downstairs, and we got to talking, and he was bringing to me about, what I had said about what El had brought, in regards to the roll over there in Zechariah chapter 5. And he said, but Yehudah, the dimensions is wrong. He said, because it's they're making these things sleep where they can cut through the atmosphere real fast. He said, but it's the dimensions. He says it's 20 cubics wide and it's 10 cubics long. I said, really? So, like I said, I was doing something. I went down there and he was still. Matter of fact, I think I had something in the washer or something. I was doing something. And so I was like, really? I said, well, I said, maybe they flipped it around. And I said, I got to look at it. And he said, yeah, so we was talking, and then Yada came down. She didn't have dinner ready for about 5 minutes. You women out there, you know how y'all get when you got that dinner ready. The man is not there. He's supposed She came down like, yo, what you doing? And I said, bro, I gotta go. Yada got dinner. He said, I see. So he said, we'll talk. So the next day, because I got a phone call later, but the next day, I opened it up, right, and looked at it, and I'm like, wait a minute. It doesn't say that. It's the opposite, right? It's 20 cubics long and 10 cubics, breadth. In other words, width. So I called him back, left a message, and then when he got in, he called me. He's like, yeah, I just saw your message. He said, because I was out on the boat fishing. So we got to talk, and I brought it to him. He said, yeah. He said, but then he revealed to me, because I said, what book you got? He what I call the JPS, the Jewish Public Society, with the Edomite on one side and the English on the other side. So I said, so it's flipped around in there. I said, but see, again, all of this is good because what does it do? It substantiates 51:5 and 46:13 Yeshaya, right? And what does Yah say in 46:13 Yeshaya? I have brought near my righteousness, my salvation is soon to follow, right? And again, this couldn't be said in actuality till we're coming upon the time to be delivered. You understand what I'm saying? Now, again, we know that in the first vision Daniel got, and again, that's 11:36 to 12:10 Daniel. And when you look at that verse 7 in chapter 12 Daniel, remember now, this is the first vision. Esau done tampered with it. He took the introduction away. We don't have that, right? But when you look at it, and you go up a couple of verses prior to that, one of the angels standing on the bank of the river asked Daniel, Daniel's listening to this exchange. One of the angels asked Gabriel, who's dressed in linen, standing on the water of the river, how long is it going to be to the end of these wonders? And Gabriel held both arms up, palms toward heaven, and swore by Yah, it should be for a time and a half. Now, that's 2,500 years. And again, this was 604 BCE. This is the first vision Daniel got. Okay? And we know the seal came off the book in 1896, because this is when William Crowder in New York started teaching we was Israel. We know this is when the seal came off the book, because the very next year, right, the House of Rothschild, right, Illuminati, Malachi, International Bank, and Edomite, the family, possibly that's the out front family, at least back then, right? They took the Theodore Herzl movement, the Zionist movement, to the land and set it, you understand, as it was called then, Palestine, which again is fulfilling the one chapter of Baya at the top, right? Those who eat of thy bread, those who took you to the border, have laid a wound up under you, that the Edomites that represented the Zionist movement, right, didn't perceive, right? It also fulfills Malachi chapter 1, right? What does it say? What did Yah say? The Edomites, Esau would say, this is prophecy, right? One day we're going to return. Though we are impoverished, we shall return and build a desolate way. So it's talking about, when the Edomites would be, basically kicked out of the land. We see that in 135 CE AD. That's what the Romans put them out the land, because they got tired of their rebellions, right? Because here the other night again, I was talking with Shalom, and he was telling me the conversation he had with this brother who's hooked up with the Yahweh Ben Yahweh movement. He's been having an ongoing conversation with him over the last, few months, couple of months or something like that. And because Shalom called, he says, he said, man, I want to, talk about this chapter 12, verse 13, Daniel again. So and bringing it to me, and I said to him again, well, the key to that is verse 11 in chapter 12, because it's dealing with the daily sacrifice, concerning the daily sacrifice. So that takes you back to chapter 8, because that's where it's talking about the daily sacrifice and what was going to happen, right? And we know it was Antiochus Epiphanes that stopped the daily sacrifice when he got control of the Holy Land, which again is put forth in Daniel 11, verse 27, really to verse 35. That's when that vision ends, in 11:35 Daniel. But talking about Antiochus Epiphanes, this situation dealing with him getting control of the Holy Land, wresting it away from the Ptolemy king that was in Egypt at the time, right? He wrested it away, and now on his way back to Syria, right, he stopped in Jerusalem, right, and stopped the daily sacrifice and put the abomination that makes desolate on the altar. That's the P, right? And that was to last for 2,300 days. And at the end of the 2,300 days, the temple would be cleansed and the daily sacrifice put back on, right? So now we know that happened in what they call December 25th, 168 BCE. So you count 2,300 days on your calendar that you got in your house, 2,300 days from December 25th, right? And it's going to be 6 years, 110 days. And you're going to end up at April 14th, 6 years and 110 days later, right? And we know basically what happens on the 15th day. Recognition of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Now remember, it's the 13-month calendar back then in ancient times. But it doesn't matter, because math is math. Math don't change. 2,300 days is 2,300 days. You can break it up at however you want to break it up. You follow what I'm saying? But they were using a 13-month calendar back then. Okay? But the point being is, you understand, you're going to end up right before the Sabbath day. I mean, Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread day, which is a Sabbath, right? But nevertheless, right, once that happened, what was supposed to happen? Daniel, at some point after these 2,300 days, right, again, Daniel 12, verse 13, Daniel would stand in his lot as being recognized as a prophet of Yah. Okay? Because again, when these when these handful of Amalekite Edomites, came with the Grecians, Alexander, they got a hold of the book not too long after they came back toward, to the land. Because they got kicked out, they got ran out by the Persians. We know that in the book of Hadassah, right? So the only place they could really run to, the ones who could run, is Grecia, because that's who was, in a conflict with the whole Persian dominion, right? Xerxes Ahasuerus, which is talked about in Daniel chapter 10, right? 10 and 11, at the front of, toward 10 and then the front of 11, chapter day. So now, when you understand these things, it's sometime after 161 BCE, when these descendants of these Amalekites who initially got a hold of the book around 330, 331, 329 BCE, and they read the book that had been put together about 80, 90 years later, like I said, 422, 421 BC, during the time of Nehemiah and Nehemiah, right? When they put all the book, all the prophecies, all of the prophets together in one compilation, which we see in Malachi chapter 3, 15 to the 18th verse. When they got a hold of the book, like I said, 80, 90 years, 80-something, 90 years later, right? Like I say, 330, 331, 329 BC, they read it, but they didn't look at Daniel as a prophet because they couldn't understand it. Yah's not allowing them to understand that Daniel is a prophet. So he's not standing in his lot as being known as a prophet of Yah. But they understood that we had cut ourselves off. So now the 83rd Psalm. Let's deal craftily with them, with these Israelites, because they understand Yah worked through us. So they wanted to cut Yah off from the earth. They wanted to hold on to their dominion forever. They knew they had to keep us in the dark forever. They had to keep us away from Yah forever. They had to keep us away from the light, that this book projects, Genesis through Malachi. They had to keep us away from this book. They didn't want us to understand it. So they started creating idols and images for us. Let's deal craftily with them. Follow me? And this is what I put forth in this session in regards with ICL, bitter me. Okay? But they're not the only ones, right? You know, that's why Esau and Ishmael came up with Islam. That's why they came up with Christianity before Islam. You know, you understand? They came up with Christianity around 270 CE AD. They got it legalized in 311 under Constantine, right? Like I said in this session, 325, they had the first council in Nicaea, and they had already come up with Hasidism, which was the predecessor to Judaism, right? They already had come up with that in 300 BCE. Not long after they got a hold of the book and read it. They still didn't understand the book of Daniel in 300 BCE. But sometime after 161 BCE, what we call April the 14th, 161 BCE, sometime after that, right? The descendants of those original ones that got a hold of the book, grandsons, great-grandsons, let's go back in here and look at this book of Daniel. And they looked at it, and Yah allowed them to understand, because they was able to look at the historical, right? The historical record, the previous like 350 or so years, and saw that Daniel called that to the T. Then they knew that the rest of what Daniel had talked about was going to come to pass too. And that's when they like, oh man, you follow what I'm saying? Now, this is where Daniel, standing in his light. Because they like, Daniel was a prophet of Yah. You follow me? See, because again, when you look at Daniel chapter 9, right? Verse 24, what does it say? What did Yah convey through Gabriel, who Daniel tells us the man he saw at the beginning, which again, in the first vision, because it was Gabriel that was bringing Daniel all of these, you understand? That Yah was working through to bring him his word, right? So this is the first, this vision in Daniel chapter 9, verse 24, what is Gabriel telling Daniel? He's saying, you understand, it's 70 weeks left to finish off the 70 years. This is 538 BC when this is, you understand, when Babylon been defeated, now it's the Persian dominion. And that's why Daniel, he's wondering, like, oh man, are we still going to get cut loose? Because he was counting. And he knew the vision of Jeremiah. 70 years in Babylon. So Daniel knew it was only 70 weeks left from his count, but he wondered, are we going to get cut loose? So Yah sent Gabriel, right, to tell him, right, it's 70 weeks left. And at the end of 69 weeks, the commandment is going to come forth, to the Messiah, the prince, the governor, which was Zerubbabel, Ezra chapter 1 and chapter 2. And again, we know that Zerubbabel's captive name was what? Sheshbazzar. Right? And he said after 69 weeks, when there's 1 week left, the commandment is going to come forth to him to restore and build Jerusalem. And then after 1 more week, they was cut loose. And all Israelites who wanted to go back to Israel, go to Jerusalem to build this temple, could do that. But only what? A remnant came back, which fulfills the birth of Yeshua's first son, Yeshua. When you look up Yeshua, what does it mean? A remnant shall return. And that's all that came back. 42,360. Right? And as we talked about not real long ago, right? Eliah called one day like Yehudah. He said, I really think over here in Zechariah, you understand, chapter 2, verse 6 ends that vision in chapter 2. And when you get to verse 7, now it's talking about, what hadn't happened yet, you know, and talking about it, that was for them back then who hadn't come back with the original. And when he said it, y'all clicked that like, you right, bro, that's it. That's it. That's where really chapter 3 starts in Zechariah, chapter 2, verse 7. And that was for those who didn't come back at the time, in 536 BCE, with Zerubbabel in there, who stayed wherever they were. You follow me? Up there in Babylon, Persia, but definitely Babylon, right? Who stayed up there, that didn't come back. You know, like I said, when you know, earlier we talked about it, and I said I'm in complete harmony with that. And then when I talked about it on the session, right, probably some children who was 10, maybe 11 or 12 or 14, right, 15. And when it was time to come back, you know, their parents didn't come back. They wasn't one of them 42,360. Their parents, they stayed where they up there in Babylon. But now when they children got to be 24, 22, 25, 27, they was like, you know what? I want to go home. I want to go back. I want to go to Jerusalem. I want to go back to Israel. I ain't never been there. You know, I want to go there because they was born in captivity. I want to go there. I don't want to stay up here. And so y'all brought this through Zechariah, right? Because he raised up Haggai and Zechariah, second year of Darius the Great, 521 BCE. So now, when Zechariah prophesied this, y'all bring this through him, you follow me? What do we see at the back end of chapter 6, Zechariah? It's in chapter 6, when Zechariah said, you understand, when they come from far and build in the temple of Yah, you gonna know Yah has sent me. So this is what happened. Some of those who was up there had that in their mind. Yah brought this through Zechariah to the ones that was in the land. They gonna come from a far country. They gonna come from Babylon. That's why Yah told Zechariah to say, flee from Babylon. That was that Babylon back in ancient times. 521, 520 BCE. And now when they look up 520, 519 BCE, here they come. And they building in the temple. They come back and build the temple. Then the people knew that Zechariah was a prophet of Yah. See, all these things, are removing the stumbling blocks, breaking the clods, removing the impediments, the lies, the deception. Like Yah said, he gonna make the crooked things straight, where we can see what's crooked is really crooked. We can see the lies. We can see the distortions, the misperceptions, the mind control, the manipulation. And we can point these things out. And isn't that what the Jerusalem movement is supposed to do? Just because we see it maybe 8, 9 years before it happens, Y'all lets us understand it. You know what I mean? When you get somebody who say, oh, you've been talking about that for 8 years. Really, I've been talking about it longer than that, about the collapse of the fiat currency. If you really understand about fiat currency, right? It's been collapsing ever since they took the gold backing from the dollar. That's August 1971. Like I just said, look at the inflation that has come about since they took that gold backing from the dollar. Since they took the silver backing from some of these dollars, you know, from out of the money, out of the coins. You mentioned silver certificate to a lot of these people today. They don't know what you're talking about. What? What's that? Okay? That used to be a $5 bill called the silver certificate. And if you presented that, they had to pay you, you understand, $5 worth of silver. Today, you understand, silver's up around $18 and something. So you wouldn't get no more than what? A little old bitty piece, a little old bitty piece, right? About a fourth of a silver dollar. So that'd be about what, 25 cents? You understand what I'm saying? About what, 20 cents, today, cause of inflation. But they don't have silver certificates anymore. right? So when Yah shows us these things, we're supposed to bring this out to the people. We ain't supposed to wait. You follow me? Because again, right, you understand? Some of the people who are in the room, some of the people who've been plugged into this movement might not be in the room. They've acquired silver when they first heard it come through this movement, Y'all righteousness. When y'all sent that out. And they got silver when it was like $9, $10, $11 an ounce in fiat paper. Okay? You follow me? It might even been like I say, $7, $8 an ounce. But now it's getting close to 19. It was up at one time up around what, $26 an ounce, right? But they beat it down because they manipulate. You follow me? Artificially strengthening the dollar and setting those people up who holding paper for a fall. Because you holding paper, that can go out in the blink of an eye and be totally worth. That's why these people, you understand, these nations that make up the BRIC nations, and you understand, on the other side of it, they don't want the dollar at all. You understand? Like I said here some months back when I saw this interview with Assad. What's his first name? It's escaping me. But y'all know the president of Syria, right? Bashir Assad. And it was a 30-minute interview. And toward the end, the woman who was interviewing him asked him about the dollar. He said the dollar's a worthless piece of paper. Okay? He said, we don't want no dollars. Okay? See, they trying to offset that over here. See, now coming back around, like I just said, when Shalom called and asked me about that Daniel 12 verse 13. See, you got a lot of brothers and sisters, Israelite, know they Israel, right? But when they read that, they think that, it's talking that Daniel gonna be raised up out of his grave. Daniel dead. Daniel's not coming back. I'm not doubting. I really, in my heart, believe that he got seed on this earth. Okay? And he gonna be raised up, his bloodline, because he was righteous. And I look at the same thing with Hananiah, Mishael, and Uzziah. They was righteous. These are the seeds that Yah's preserving. You got eggs, huh? You follow me? That's coming out of Sarah, coming out of Rebecca, coming out of Leah. You follow me? Abihail. You understand? And many other Israelite women, Deborah. You know, that we might not necessarily know their name per se, who they, but again, that Yah has preserved. And they on this earth today. You understand what I'm saying? That's probably why Yah got this one, you understand, that operates this internet. The other sister, Yakoya down there in Alabama, that, gives herself to this movement, make sure that this can come out to all of you out there. This is what Yah does. He preserves seeds and eggs. That's what he's doing. That's Yeshaya chapter 6. Huh? That's why, what did Yah say? That we are going to be called the repairs of the breach. Restores of the path to dwell in. See? And he's the great agriculturalist. Huh? And that's what he's doing. That's why any Israelite who've awakened to the fact that they Israel, but they have transitioned Now, when I say this, again, Yah could have been found as of 1896. Okay, but when you go back there to that verse 7 in chapter 12, Daniel, the first vision Daniel got, what did Gabriel say? After he said a time and a half, what he said? But when Yah, he said, when Yah has accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all this should be accomplished, fulfilled. So now, once the seal came off the book, which it did in 1896, it's so much time now that it's going to take, right? For Yah to accomplish to scatter the power of the holy people. But look what's all in play there. You understand what I'm saying? Because Yah tells us in the 53rd chapter of Yeshaya, who shall declare, it says his, but it's really, who shall declare their generation? See, because again, when Esau wrote this book, he tried to tailor it where it's always singular. You follow me? Like around that seed of David. But it's not just the seed of David. He's not coming back alone. And you'll see that at the back end of Yeshaya chapter 52. Because what does it say? Be ye clean that bear the vessels of Yah. And again, we know who bears the vessels of Yah. That's the Levites. Because they assist the priesthood. So if the Levites is coming back, it's got to be descendants of the priest. That's coming back again. The seed of Zadok, the high priest. He got to be in this Jerusalem movement. Now, again, Yah doesn't give us any way to identify him per se. The only kind of identify per se that I see is initially he's adverse when he hear the message initially. Okay? See? And that's over there in Zechariah. Chapter 3. That really starts at chapter 2, verse 7. Like I just said earlier, right? So, you understand? Initially he adverse, but over a period of time, he sees it because he's really looking for Yah. And then once he sees it, he's going to see it, and then he's going to, he's going to assimilate. But other than that, we got to wait till we get home. And then Yah's got to make it known who that descendant of Zadok, who the high priest is, who the priesthood is, who the Levites are. Because like I said in the past, can't be any guesswork. Can't be any I think, I feel, I believe, I accept. Can't be none of that. See, but that's, up in front of us, right? Right now, it's about who's in harmony with the law. Who is embracing the law with all their heart and all their soul. Like I said in the session, right? What does it say? 49:24 Yeshaya, shall the lawful captive be delivered. And it goes on to say, yea, even the prey shall be taken from the terrible. And Yah will contend with any and everybody that contends with those of us, other descendants of Jerusalem, of Israel, that turns back to him with all our heart and all our soul. Because again, when you go to Ezekiel, chapter 11, verse 15, it was the descendants of Jerusalem that said to all Israel, get far away from Yah. We don't need the king no more. We don't need Yah. Who is he? This land's given into our hand as a possession. And that's why Yah put a double curse on the descendants of Jerusalem. That's why in Ezekiel 16, 59 through 63, at the back of 16th chapter, 59 through 63, what do Yah say? I'm going to deal with the descendants of Jerusalem in a way where they never going to open their mouth again, exalting themselves, you understand, somebody else, something else other than me. And anybody who's like that, that comes, you understand, around into the Jerusalem, I'm going to purge them out. Because why? They rebels and transgressors. Anybody that puts themselves before me. Because again, when you go to chapter 5 Deuteronomy, what does it say? The first commandment, I know how they wrote it, but I wrote it in my book. You shall have nothing before me. Nothing. This is Yah talking. You shall have nothing, including yourself, before me. And that should be understandable to any and everybody. Except the wicked. The idolatrous. And again, that's why Esau didn't understand that. Ben-Ami didn't understand that. Okay? And those of that movement have not understood that to this day. But they, you know, many of them are going to understand of the Demona movement. And it remains to be seen if, you understand, Ben-Ami, Esau, if they've got any descendants, seed, eggs that came out of them, are going to submit to that and turn to Yah with all their heart and soul and obey his laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts. The choice is theirs, just like it's everybody's. Like I said in the session, I've said in the past, this is not about love and hate. This is about understanding. And when we apply that understanding to its highest level, praying with wisdom, then we can see the love in that. Because it's to understand Yah. And if you truly understand him, you're going to love it with all your heart and all your soul. You're going to cleave to him. Because as I said in the session, how can you compare anything to Yah? How can you compare Yah to anything? That's how when you come Yah, that's when they brought it to me and said, I said, hey, what can I say? Because you can't compare him. You can't compare him to anybody. That's why, again, he's not the greatest. He's just great. And he's the only one that is great. You know, because like I said to people the other day, you know, sometimes, man, it's storm. It gets to storming, and it gets dark in like daytime. It gets dark, like it's night, and that lightning, that thunder. First, you hear that thunder, like it shakes the ground, shakes the building, and then that lightning hits, and it don't just happen once. It happens in, you know, repeatedly. Over a little while, and that rain is coming down. Sometimes it's even hail. It's hitting the window. You open that, you look through the window, you see them big, huge marbles. I be hoping that it don't break the window. Okay? Now, that's Yah. And that's just a little smidgen of his power. Some of you out there has been around in hurricanes, down there around that Gulf. And you told me how you see them trees bending over from that wind. Okay? See? So, who you going to compare Yah to? So the people who in this idolatry, who's talking about my life, my way, you know what I mean? Who exalting themselves, who you know, in any kind of idolatry with some, you know, Christianity or Islam or Judaism, and you see all three of those religions represented at Asiel's, you know, observance here the other Friday. You bring it up on the internet and watch it. I'm pretty sure it's still up there. You'll see all three of them religions represented. Because it was in the house of idol worship. See? And again, I'm not hating. It ain't nothing to hate for. You know what I'm saying? I said it was all right with me per se. I understood it. Like I said, in the conversation he engineered, I understood it. That's why there was a lot of things I could have said, but I didn't, because I know he ain't gonna understand it anyway. The last time I saw him was in 2010. Yada was hooking up with her cousin, and they was going to a family reunion thing, and she wanted me to take her over there to the restaurant to meet her cousin, because her cousin was gonna get some things up in there and take, and then she gonna ride with her cousin, you know, out to this forest preserve out south, and to the family reunion. So I said, okay. So I took her over there. I'm sitting in the car, and when she saw cousin pull up, she got out the car. Matter of fact, I got out too, spoke to her cousin, then I came back and got in the car. They went up into the deli in the restaurant, you know, soul veg, right? And so I'm sitting in the car, and next thing I know, I kind of looked to my left, and there was ICL standing on the sidewalk looking at me. He was like, YHWH. And so I got out the car and walked on over there to him. I said, peace, you know, how you doing? You know what I mean? This in 2010, and I guess the split had jumped off, but I don't know it yet. So I'm like, peace, Nasi, how you doing? And he said, hey, he said, yeah, I saw you, Isha, you know, asked her about you. She told me you were sitting in the car. And so he said to me, he looked at me, he said, boy, you look good. You hear that? You look like you look good. Now, this is after we didn't have, this is maybe, what, 6 years or something like that, after 5 or 6 years, after we had the conversation that he ended up in the restaurant where he told me, you know, we ain't supposed to eat meat. If you eat meat, you be eating the blood. But that's what he said to me. He looked at me like, boy, you look good. I said, yeah, it's great, bro. You know, we just talked a little bit, you know what I mean? And you know, and then I left, got back in the car, and he went on in round the back. See? So, you know, and that's the last conversation we had. Real brief, but that was the last conversation we had. But that's what he said. He said, boy, you look good. Okay? I didn't rag on him. I didn't say, yeah, but I mean, me. I didn't say nothing. I didn't, okay, yeah. I just looked like, yeah, it's great. You know what I'm saying? See? But again, as a person told me a few years later, his sister told me she brought, you know, this movement up. And she mentioned me to ICL. And he act like he seemed like I kind of know about them or something like that. You understand what I mean? Because he don't really want to get into no conversations about this movement, because he didn't listen, he didn't heard. That's why they started talking about the Illuminati, and charging $5 for people to come there and hear about the Illuminati, okay, up in the restaurant. You know, when they had them sessions up there. See, they charging $5, but you know, people come here to the YHWH YHWHchicago.net, to the website, or the YHWHness Chicago movement site, right? And they come and, you know, you come into this room, and you hear, you ain't being charged anything, are you? Like I done said before, people call here all the time, you know. You don't hear anything on the phone when you get the move. They don't hear, so you have to deposit $9.99 on your Visa. You know what I mean? Or your American Express before you can talk to YHWH. You don't hear that. You know, you don't hear any solicitation. None of you ever heard me ask any of you or anybody out there for anything other than to serve Yah with all your heart and all your soul. Matter of fact, you didn't heard the opposite, because again, you understand, tithes and offerings supposed to go to the, where? They're supposed to, you understand, to the house of Yah. That's Malachi chapter 3, is it not? Bring all the tithes into the storehouse. Well, what's the storehouse? That's the temple. Is the temple in existence? No. That's what this movement is to do when we get back. And not to build it, you understand what I'm saying? But to be, you understand, at its completion, because the nation's going to build it. The elite going to build it. And at its completion, y'all have us ready, Again, the priest, the high priest, the priesthood, the Levites, he'll have them ready to minister to it, inside it. Because like Yaakov and Yahdassah was saying, Yahdassah, she said, you know, Yah is you know, very particular in, and you know, he takes his time and has everything just right in preparation, you know, in what he does. See? And we are to be, you know, like you see in that Exodus chapter 19, right? When our forefathers entered into that everlasting covenant to fulfill responsibility and obligation in keeping Yah's laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments, and precepts, right? Magnifying Yah and Yah only. Obeying Yah and Yah only. Submissive to Yah and Yah only. Walking humbly with him, not pridefully, not arrogantly. Walking humbly with him. And remembering mercy, judgment, truth. Not to lie, not to deceive. You know, for instance, like Ben-Ami did when he, you understand, told everybody that the angel Gabriel had been sent to him to tell him it was time to leave up out of this daughter of Babylon. But yet still he didn't know the name of Yah. Because like I said, they were KOG, Kingdom of God, what? For years. Until they got the card. You understand? From here through Eliakim, and that's how Isaiah got it, and that's how they found out about this movement, and that's when they started really, you understand, perusing the name of Yah. And about, you know, 3 to 4 years later, that's when Ben-Ami came out with that book, Hebrew Messiah, a Christian Christ. He on the front of it. The book ain't thick; it's not but a few pages, about 30 pages, something like that. And the main reason he put it out there was he proclaiming what the name of the Creator is. He got it wrong spelling. He said Yah, but they spelled it YAH, phonetical spelling, but they left off an H, really YAHH. Then he gonna say, but the most profound cognitive, you understand, in reference to the Creator is YHWH, which is nothing but total and utter nonsense, convolution. But as I went through in this session, chapter 48, Yeshaya, the first 10 verses, Yah didn't open up their ear. He didn't refine them with silver. See, he didn't bring illumination through them, lest they should say they idol did it. Ben-Ami. That's why they're called Sodom and her daughters in Ezekiel chapter 16. See, and there's probably some who, you know, listening to this, and when I got on this vein, you know, they left. They left out. They couldn't take it. But they're going to have to be able to acknowledge the truth at some point, as we all do. If you're going to be about Yah, don't we see that in Leviticus 26, 40, 41, and 42? We have to acknowledge our iniquity. We have to acknowledge the iniquity of our father and mother, going all the way back to ancient times. And then we have to do what? Accept of our punishment. And those who don't do this, right? Yah systematically removes you from the face of the earth. You're not going to be, whether you Israelite, Hamite, Shemite, Yephite, Edomite, you're not going to be transitioning over into his dominion. Now, you might have some children that do that, and they'll transition. But if you don't do it, you won't. That's what Yah is doing. He's very meticulous. Yah is very exact. And that's how we have to be. Aware, cognizant of what we do, what we say. And as I said, you know, here a few months ago, I think it was, I'm sure I'll say it again. When you put perverse lips far from thee, I said it in this session that just played. When you put perverse lips far from you, profane lips, profane and perverse thoughts start to be very, very minute until eventually you don't really have those anymore. And that's all part of purging the ways of the heathen out of us. And that's what we're in preparation. Yah's making us into his new sharp threshing instruments having teeth. Because this word is fire. Isn't that what Yah says? You understand, in reference to that seed of Dawid? Shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, slay the wicked with the breath of his lips. Well, that's what all of us who are carrying the word of Yah, right? Who turn to him with all our heart and soul, with a willing mind and a willing soul, a willing heart, right? He starts refining us and preparing us. But if we turn away, isn't that what Dawid said to Solomon over there in First Governor, so-called First Kings? You understand? You understand? Keep the light of Yah lit. Keep them laws and statutes, ordinances, commandments of Yah with all your heart and all your soul. Show yourself forth to be a man. But know for a surety, if you turn away from him, he will forsake you. And isn't that what we see in Ezekiel chapter 18? Yah is very merciful. Right? We wasn't raised in the way of Yah. We roots out of dry ground. See? But Yah said he'll make all our sins and transgressions, though they were scarlet, he'd make them white as snow. Like it says over in Ezekiel, you know, those of us he brings back. Even now, you know, there's things you think of that you did before you knew about Yah, and you loathe yourself, and that's what we're going to do. He bring us back to the land. We're going to think about things we did in our past. We're going to loathe ourselves. This is why the illuminated Edomite, the Skull and Bone Boys, they got, what is it called? Grand Theft Auto. Where they got these games out for these young folks today. That's why y'all here carjacking and doing all this silly stuff. He got guns everywhere. You follow me? They started with the movie The Getaway with Steve McQueen and what's her name? Jacqueline Bisset back then. It was Ally McGraw. Oh, Ally McGraw. Okay. Back then, what was that? 69? Where they got away. They robbing banks and shooting up everybody. They got away, supposedly. They wrote off, you know what I mean? You understand? With no retribution. With a trunk load of money. See, that's when they started showing us that you could do wrong and get away with it. Which is a lie. They followed that up with Superfly. He is selling cocaine to everybody in Harlem. You understand what I'm saying? And at the end, he gonna, you understand, he gonna knock it, he gonna beat up the police, he gonna hire the mafia to put a hit on the police. You understand, all this fairy tale mess. And then he gonna, you know, do his karate and judo on the police, and then he gonna walk away and jump in his big old tricked out Eldorado with his woman they got $1 million. He gonna ride off in the sunset. You understand what I'm saying? A bunch of lies and deception. To the point where they even put out a new Superfly, right? And they got him with more money this time. I think he's supposed to walk away with maybe 40, 50 million, 100 million. Him and his woman, you understand? He done sold drugs. He on the yacht. They drinking Mai Tais on the yacht, you understand? In bathing suits, right? And they riding off in the sunset. You understand? Some nonsense, some fairy tale mess. And that's the same thing with the Illuminati, Malachi International Bank, and Edomites. They got to be judged. The same thing with these monarchies. They got to be judged. See? Now Charles, he got a chance, to right some wrongs, to turn around. Been sprinkled. He got a chance to turn the out now that he's king. So let's see what he's gonna do. You understand? Some people say they don't see him doing it. He's his daddy's child. Well, yeah, but you know, maybe he ain't gonna be like Philip. You understand? Philip talking about he hope he comes back as a virus. What kind of mess is that? He want to be resurrected as a virus so he can go back and kill up people. So maybe Charles won't take after him. And if it's not Charles, maybe Charles won't last too long, and his will. You know, because some people just said to me, they think it's going to be Harry. I said, you know how many people got to be taken out before we get to Harry? You got about four, 5 people you got to take out before we get to Harry. They said, yo, it might happen like that. I said, yeah, ain't not too hard for you. Yeah, it might, but you know, you understand? But Yah's been working on these monarchies ever since they were sprinkled. And again, 18 years ago this month, they were sprinkled. 36 years ago this month, this movement was established. 16 years ago last month is when Yah lifted up and started to magnify himself in the sight of the people of the earth through the movement called by his name. Jeremiah chapter 23, Yah, our righteousness. Predicated on his laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments, testimonies. And that's what I do, testify. So like I said, Yaakov Yadasa, we gonna see. Okay? We gonna see. I see what Yaakov just put up there. We gonna see. Okay? Because the main thing, my thing is, everything's being hastened. And that's what Yah said he was going to do. Right? Chapter 60, last verse, verse 22. A little one should become 1,000, a small and a strong nation. I, Yah, will hasten it in their time. And the his, that, you know, is in reference to the messenger. The stone cut out without hands. Yah doesn't make any mistakes. Now I got an article here, and again, watch that Democracy Now! Yesterday morning, Friday morning. But article here out of the Chicago Tribune yesterday, September the 9th. Steeper winter heating bills loom amid reduced U.S. aid. So you hear that? Not going to be a lot of aid coming from the government because, you know, they sending it all over there to the Ukraine. Like I said, they already sent $53 billion over there to the Ukraine, right? And now they get a package together, another $14 billion. Was that $67 billion over to those Edomites in Western Ukraine that they're propping up to fight against the Russians, to draw the Russians into this, you understand, conflict. And in so doing, it has a domino effect on the nations of the earth. No food, no energy, no heat, no petrol, no electric. And that's just like these Edomites. Right? Because when everything goes up high, they not worried. They got plenty of money. Gold, silver, fiat currency, they print the stuff. So they're not missing a meal. They got heat. They got energy. They flying around on jets, polluting the atmosphere. You understand what I'm saying? But it's the poor people, the people who are nickel and dimed out here. You know, like that Caucasian sister on Democracy Now! They talked about just died here, 81 years old. She came out with that book. What's her name? Aaron Riker, I think it's Aaron Ricker. You understand? She came out with that book, how the people of the world are nickel and dime to death. You understand? By the elitists. Because she said, you know, just because a person got a job, that, you understand, that don't mean anything. You got plenty of working poor out here. Because she said when, you understand, she was writing the book, you know, she went around there at one of these food dispensaries. Matter of fact, no, she went to the where the government gives out I think food stamps or something like that, and said when the woman was taking her, you know, her application, and she was right there, said you work at Walmart? And she said no. She said yeah. She said because we get plenty of people in here that work for Walmart, working every day, but they come in here trying to get food stamps because they ain't making enough at Walmart. Now you understand? The Walton family is multi-billionaires. Like Bezos. You understand? Amazon, Whole Foods, multi-billionaire. You follow me? Like the Pritzkers, all these Edomites, Elon Musk, that you understand, forwarded and basically, you know, financed the coup on Evo Morales over there in Bolivia so he could get that lithium for these batteries for these electric vehicles. Follow me? That's why we deal with these, you know, articles and whatnot. We got to be able to track Esau. You got to be able to see what these illuminated Edomites are doing. You got to know what they have done and what they're doing today. So you can see this thing, you understand, in clarity. Where you're not confused, where you're not, you understand, drinking the Kool-Aid. Because the things I've talked about here, some of the things I've touched on, first thing they're going to say, oh, that's conspiracy theory. Like I said, when what I just talked about, you understand, the Demona movement, ICL, oh, he hating. You know there's something out there, he hating. What I got to hate, you know, why I got to hate him? Because again, when I talk about how y'all not, like I said, you know, when the restaurant, you understand, when you understand, they first opened up Soul Vegetarian East in 81, we went there. I was going there regular eating. Because it was real nice. Food was good. You know, because a lot of things I didn't understand then. Like I said, about the soy. But they had other things. It was patronizing them. You know, if I'm gonna spend some money, they got a restaurant, and I go there and get something good. I spending money with them. I ain't never been against them. I just understand them, and I'm not gonna patronize them. You know, in the sense of, you know, say anything that's not true. I patronize, you know, as far as, like I say, you know, they got a restaurant. I'm eating. Sometimes I'm gonna eat this food because, again, it's gonna help them. It's gonna help me. That's how I looked at it. If I'm hating on them, I never go there anyway, right? But over the years, I learned more. Y'all revealed more about them, which, again, you know, I started understanding even back then. Like I said, when I first went up in there. Yeah, the waitress, she smiled at me and, you know, came at me with some things, and I had to let her know, you know, sister, I know about this, you know what I mean? And then when she left, you understand, to go get our stuff, Ben looked at me like, you know, they put women on guys trying to bring them into this movement. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah. You know, so, you understand, don't get caught up, you know, because the sister's looking nice. You know what I mean? Dress nice, you know, with discretion. See, but through the years, as Yah is doing with everybody and everything, he's pulling the covers off everything and everybody. How many times have I said over the years, you cannot hide from Yah. I don't care who you are, who you think you are. Yah is revealing himself. He's not going to allow anybody or anything to be hid from those of us who are plugged into him. He's going to reveal everything and everybody. So you can't say that I thought, I believed, I didn't know. What you want to talk about? Hold on.
Somebody has some
on the screen. Okay, so somebody on the stream is putting forth Ezekiel 18:22 and Leviticus 19:18. 19:18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yah. But that does not preclude the truth. Okay? Because when I'm talking about these things, I'm not holding any grudge. Okay? For instance, when I talked about this Donnie Trotter and how he dealt with me that time, right? I'm just telling the truth. I ain't holding no grudge against him. But by the same token, you know, you understand, when people exude that type of spirit where, you understand, never done anything to them, only treated them nice, and then they listen evidently to somebody else, you know, telling them something negative about me, but they don't come and say, Yudah, you know, so and so and so and so, is this true? You understand? They're going to automatically take what they tell them about me without asking me, inquiring. So basically when somebody does that, you know, you understand, they done cut themselves off from me. Now, if they come and acknowledge to me, I'm not mad at them. I just understand, right? Oh, you meant verse 16? Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. Again, what I'm saying is the truth. So this is not a talebearer. Talebearer, you understand, brings lies and deception. You think I'd bring this out if it wasn't the truth? This is a fact. Okay? Simple as that. And if you know any of these people that I mentioned, like I said, if you know Elliot Kidd, who I'm talking about, last time I think he down in Florida, he'll tell you that he got the card from me in November 1991 with YHWH. He'll tell you, even though he didn't say it to me, when I asked him, what'd you do with the card I just gave you Saturday night? He didn't answer that. But I figured it out. It ain't hard to figure out. He'll tell you, you understand, that's when he got the card and he gave it to ICL. He'll tell you that. You follow me? If you see this Donnie Trotter and you ask him, if you know him, ask him how he responded that day Yada and I came up into the restaurant. He the only one sitting up in there, and how he responded when I spoke to him. He'll tell you if he gonna tell the truth. Okay, so what do you mean when you're talking about a talebearer? Tale reveals things to the masses, right? Well, isn't that what you understand? That's what you're supposed to do, to tell the truth. Okay, You understand? You revealing the truth to what has happened in the past, so people can understand, you understand, about these situations, how these situations came about, how this movement has been treated, how this movement, you understand, how people have thrown stones. Like, it seems like what you're trying to do now, but I don't mind you asking. I'll answer anything. You just put it up there. Okay? This is about the truth, and everything has to be brought out. Simple as that. So people can understand, right? See, this ain't about hiding anything. This is about bringing the truth out and revealment. That's the time we living in. And we'll be living in this way forever. Nothing can be hid from Yah. Okay, what? Okay, 18:22 Ezekiel, all his transgressions that he had committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him. In his righteousness that he had done, he shall live. If that person, male or female, turns to Yah, with all their heart and soul, and starts to alleviate the ways of the heathen. That's true. That's absolutely the truth. But see, when you say this to me, understand, all right, that these people, you understand what I'm saying? These people have supposed to be about the book. They supposed to be in the book. They claimed they was about God. See? Well, again, yeah, I'm one witness. And again, like I said, you bring it to me if you know them. You follow me? See what they say. Because Yah knows, without question. Okay, if that's how you perceive, said that isn't everybody's business. That's being a talebearer, spreading other people's information with people who's not in the know is talebearing. Again, how do people become in the know? When you reveal. Okay? Okay, you can't confirm it. Okay, but I'm telling you, maybe in the future, you'll be able to. And as far as what I say about ICL, like I said, you understand, if you know about that movement and you know the book of Yah and you know the word of Yah, that should be able, you should be able to, you understand, substantiate what I'm saying in that regard about the movement. Like I said, as of 2010, 2011 to now, it should be apparent when Yah calls them, Ezekiel 16, Sodom and her daughters. Okay, as I said in the past about this book that was written by one of these young boys who used to be with them when he was, you know, and he left when he got older, him and his mother, he was being, you know, pedophilia had been, you understand, perpetrated on this boy. He wrote this book. I haven't seen it. I've been told about it. The Lies in Heaven. Okay? And again, you know, you understand? It was brothers that came here that ICL orchestrated after he left from around that movement that was on Munir Muhammad's show, who's since transitioned 2.5 years ago, a little better. And those brothers was from over there. And they talked about how it was homosexuality and pedophilia going on. Now I saw that, you know, on TV, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Now that's just the reality of it. See? And those who got a problem with it, you know, what can I say? That's your problem. But again, I know I'm not the only one. We're not the only one that saw that show that was on Munir Muhammad, and it wasn't one. And again, you know, Mahalea, who has since transitioned, Diary of a Revolutionary, used to bring up her show. She had things on there, you know, talking about what was going on over there. Okay? Okay, now, phone's ringing, but I'm not going to answer it. If there's anybody listening to this, leave a message. I'll call you back later. Okay? See, I know this, like I said, I know some of this is a bitter pill. Okay? But that's just the reality of it. These are the things that happen. See, and I bring these things out to show how, these things have grown, has transitioned over the years in regards to this movement. Okay? Okay? Because again, you understand, they wanted to know about this movement, and when, like I said, if all they had to do was call me, that's all they had to do was call me and talk to me. You follow me? See, so that's all they had to do was call and talk to me. Okay, simple as that. See, but again, it is what it is, and I'm dealing from that perspective. Because again, if I lie, it's gonna come out. You understand what I'm saying? And I understand that. See, that's what liars and deceivers don't understand. They think they can hide, and it's never going to, come out. Those of you who've been plugged into this movement over the years, you done heard me say time and again, there's nothing that can be hid now. Yah is revealing everything and everybody. So now with me understanding that, why would I lie? Why would I put out a lie? Because eventually, it's going to be revealed. Just like I've said in the past about, the things that we do. Whether it's good or evil, we're going to be brought into judgment for it. That's in this book. So why, if you have knowledge of the Creator, and and you can differentiate because you've been reading and studying His Word, and you can differentiate between good and evil, right and wrong, why would anybody do evil? Why would anybody do wrong when you know you're going to get it back? That's the height of stupidity. Now, I know it's been people around this movement, they left, okay? And some of them I know, you understand, regret it to this day. I've talked about that. You follow me? You understand? But even when they, had one come around here a few years ago, and he wasn't even truthful initially, because he realized the mistake he made. He hadn't really learned. He could come back with deception. And y'all revealed it, immediately. Per se, right? Almost immediately. See what I'm saying? How you going to trick y'all? How you going to fool the Creator? What's next? Well, like I said, everybody, you take your take on it, right? But I'm talking about this movement and the things that, how this movement has evolved and how others have, looked at this movement. Now, again, whether you can discern it or validate, like I said, everything will come out, as they say, if not in the wash, in the rinse. What's next? Well, I explained what I'm speaking to. They just don't want to understand. That's what it sounds like to me. But that's okay. Okay. Well, I was just been dealing with people on the stream that's not in the room. Okay, for those who were in the room. Okay, Elia. Peace, Elia. Y'all bless, brother. To you and your family. You said if you count backwards from Abraham's birth, 2160 or 2166, whichever day you go by, you will see that Adam was born 4914 or 4908. The 7 creation days being 1,000 years wouldn't fit, considering Adam was created after the 7th day. Okay, well, like I said, I hear what you're saying, and from what I can see, Abraham was 2160 because he was 75 when he went down into Egypt. Would have made it 2085, and I've used that date in the past. So, you know, I hear what you're saying in regards to what YHWH Hadassah brought to me about the 1,000 years each day, in regards to that, over what David says in the Psalms, a day is like 1,000 years to Yah. Well, again, you know, I hear you. I mean, I see where you know, where you're going in that, but I haven't really considered any of that in depth. Okay, because again, it's somewhat speculation. You know what I mean? See, as I said in the past, just like with the things in the temple, I didn't really discern about what goes on in the temple per se. And I didn't, because to me, as I've said in the past at different times, I'm certain everything that we need to know, or is going to be needed to know, should I say, is not there. And in regards to actually what goes on in the temple per se, we don't necessarily have to know that right now. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't, you know, read up on that. Again, like I said, when YHWH Hadassah brought that to me a couple of years ago, I'm like, okay, maybe it's time. I'll start looking into that. And I have, but to me, still what's paramount is what we need to know now to substantiate what we're doing, who Yah is, and where we're headed, and how to get there. That's the main thing to me, then paramount. What we need to do now to substantiate Yah's existence, like I said earlier, right? Every time we substantiate prophecy, historically, it underscores that Yah is the creator. Everything, like I said, we got to be able to track Esau all the way up to this present day. We got to be able to see what they've been doing, what they've done, right? We know why they've done it, because, you understand, Yah gave them the dominion. After so long, they got the dominion, even though it's a diversified dominion amongst them, right? But we got to be able to substantiate that. And what they're doing right now is the same thing they've been doing. That's all they know how to do, is cause confusion, conflict, right? To distract, right? To discombobulate, to keep people in fear. Like I said, you got a lot of people afraid right now nuclear war going to jump off at any time. And see, when you got that in your head like that, you really can't, you can't see clear. See, and that goes back to that Novo Ordo Chaos, New World Order through fear. And that's what the illuminated Edomites, they're trying to set up a 5th dominion of man. But we know that can't happen, because it's only been said it's going to be 4. That's it. See? And that's why Yah's been steadily bringing them out, exposing them. And that's what we see in Yeshaya chapter 28. That's what we see, you know, about this daughter of Babylon in Yeshaya chapter 47. Right? That's what we see in the 1 chapter about you. How are thy hidden things, secret things sought up and searched out. So these to me are the you know, the things we need to be concerned with right now. Certain things like this here, that's in the past, okay. You know, you want to search it out and check into, that's fine, nothing wrong with that, right? Now you're saying you different, you know, differing from what was just brought to me, right? Okay, because like I said, it was just hit me with it. I never, you know, tried to figure that part of it out. I've thought about it, but it doesn't really stick with me. I'm concerned about what we need to know to get us home and get us home right. What's supposed to happen, okay, and how we're supposed to be, right? And again, we know we've got to be in harmony with Yah's laws, statutes, orders, judgments, commandments, and precepts. Now, what goes on into the temple, we ain't necessarily just got to know that, Okay, now, I'm not saying for us not to go in there and read about these things, because again, as far as sacrifices, we need to know about that. Just like, you know, it was Jacob Yadasa brought that to me about, you know, chapter 51 Psalms, about the sacrifices of the broken heart, the contrite spirit, right? The praise of Yah, that's a sacrifice. See what I'm saying? Just like the sacrifices of the cattle, of the flock, of the herd. You know, the sacrifice of flour, the sacrifice of incense, the sacrifice of gold or silver or precious jewels to give to Yah, right? The sacrifice of cloth. You understand what I'm saying? Like we see in Exodus, right? See, these are sacrifices to Yah that he accepts. And again, the reason why this is good, because these people who are in idolatry promulgating JC, that he can die for everybody's sins, again, that's knocked out in Deuteronomy chapter 24. Everybody dies for their own sins. You can't die for anybody else's sin, and Yah does not accept human sacrifice. And we've talked about this in the past, right? That's Jeremiah chapter, was it 19? Yah said that never came into his mind to accept any human sacrifice. That's why, again, when we go to that Yeshaya chapter 53, there's certain verses around there in the middle that's knocked out when you understand that the illuminated Edomite has inserted to try to make us think this is talking about the, you know, main idol of Christianity. These are the things we need to know so we can see, and this is Yah removing the impediments, the obstacles, the stumbling blocks. Othniel, peace to you as well, brother, and always Yah's praise and great. And to your household. It says the silk that's mentioned with Ezekiel 16 verse 10, could that possibly be corn husk, corn silk? Another form, it is called kipu. The only difference is that kipu is made of cotton and camelid fibers. Camelid, I don't know what the camelid, I've never heard of that before. I don't know, bruh. That's all I can tell you. I don't know. You know what I mean? I know they make clothing out of hemp. Okay, you know what I mean? And I know hemp is drunk too, because again, it's a you know, a plant, right? So I don't know. That's all I can tell you. And like it was said to me a while back, okay, that's what I thought. Well, again, we wouldn't be wearing camel skin. Is that you saying that's camelid is camel skin? We wouldn't be wearing that, right? Because we don't eat camel. That's the reason why I said in the past about the silk that comes from the silkworm. And again, it was brought to me. This was YHWH that brought this to me, that they're calling it silk, but it very well could have been Egyptian cotton. And when she said that, I'm aware of Egyptian cotton because I've seen it. And I remember when I first saw it years ago in the cloth shop, you know, I thought it was silk because it has a sheen like silk, until they're like, no, that's Egyptian cotton. And it's expensive too, but it's nice, real nice. But it's the way that, you know, it was, what's that term? You know, the way they, you know, I don't want to say thrash comes to my mind, but I don't want to say that because that's not it. It's a term. The way they, you know, brush it or whatever, you know, that Egyptian cotton, where it has that sheen like that, because it's expensive. I haven't seen any lately, but you know, because I haven't really been to the clothing shop, right? But that Egyptian cotton looks like silk, okay? But it's nice, and that could be what, you know, is actually inserted there for the Egyptian cotton, but I don't know. Okay, but we, you know, like I said, we only supposed to wear those things that we eat. You know, leather from the you know, the steer, right? Cow leather, right? Sheepskin, right? Goat's hair, whatnot, so on and so forth. So again, you say corn husk, it could be, I don't know, bro. You say it is a great form of ancient clothing that was used. Okay, I don't know. I've never heard that before. Could be. I don't know. Okay? What's next? Okay, Kavya, peace and y'all bless to you as well in your house. You said, can I discuss more about what happens when someone comes to y'all and begins to purge? Besides letting go of the ways of the heathen and working on themselves, what happens mentally, emotionally, and physically? Well, again, you're going to get a change. Okay? Because again, as you conform and Yah, you give yourself to Yah and he refines you, and you're removing the ways of the heathen out of you, your whole thought process is going to change. Okay? Everything, the spirit is going to change. The mentality is going to change. And with that, the physical self starts to change as well. It's a total change. But again, we ain't going to be totally changed until we get to the land. And again, Yah cleanses our blood that is not being cleansed. That's another change, major change. And as I said in the past, you know, you just look at what happened to Moshe when he went up on the mountain the first time for them 40 days and 40 nights and came down. He didn't eat or drink. He was existing on the pure spirit of Yah. So he was cleansed to the max. See, and that's, to me, similar to what's going to happen with us. I mean, when we get back and Yah opens up that fountain for uncleanness and cleanses our blood that has not been cleansed, to me, that's going to be a total cleansing. That's a total rejuvenation, and that's a total purge. You follow me? Because when we look at Ezekiel, what does it say over there in Ezekiel? What did Yah say through Ezekiel, right? Though we use much night and soap, we're not going to actually be able to be cleansed in captivity. You know, we can, as I said in the past, even when you go on these cleanses, you know, if you can get 51% clean, you know, 51% clean adverse to 49%, that's better, right? You understand what I mean? If we can get 27% clean adverse to 25%, that's better, right? So we do all that we can do in captivity. You follow what I'm saying? We show that total commitment and submission. But again, as you begin to the cleaning process, internally, externally, you understand, your mental, spiritual self is going to change. Okay? That's all part of it. See, and again, I think it was Brother Yair that just called. You let me know, you like, you ain't got to explain. That's Yair, that's my guy. He said, you ain't got to explain to these people. You know what I mean? But see, that's what I do. I don't have any problem with that. And again, those who are trying to find fault with me talking about these things, then hey, what can I say? If it's wrong to you, it's wrong to you. But I'm supposed to reveal. Just like what you see, you know, Moshe revealed, right? The other prophets revealed. You understand? Jeremiah, he revealed. Go to the book of Jeremiah and read it. I mean, really read it. And you'll see he talked about how, you understand, people threw stones at him. You understand? They were watching in chapter 15 of the book of Jeremiah, right? What did he say? He said they all watched for my halting. Because they didn't like him, you understand, bringing out the things that they had done wrong or were doing wrong. They didn't like it. And so evidently this person who is saying to me, you know, trying to, you know, make a law look like I'm breaking a law by revealing these things, you understand? Well, again, that's how you look at it. That's how you look at it. But again, all of this is the truth. And like I said, if you ever see Donnie Trotter sometime, ask him. Maybe he'll tell you the truth at this juncture. Or maybe he'll hold on to the lie. But he ain't going to be able to say that to me. Because he knows. And he'll probably be astounded that I see it to the depths that I do. Okay? But like I said in this session, we got the history about the movement, the Demona movement, Sodom and her daughters. We got the history over here. You follow me? And you understand the things that have been said, the things that they've said, you know, like I said about this, you know, when you look at the obituary of Esau, they got him, and like I said, and I didn't say this in the session, and I meant to, and I'll say it now. We saw an interview. I think I didn't say it in session with ICL when this guy named Sonetta. He was at ICL's house here. I think it was 2020. He did an interview, or might have been around the beginning of last year. He did an interview with ICL, and Yosef, his son, was there. You know, but that's when I saw how frail ICL was, because ICL couldn't even raise his arms. His crown that he had on his head kept shifting. His crown on his head kept shifting, and Yosef had to keep positioning it during this interview. See, but in this interview, this Sonetta, he brought forth how he said in front of ICL, and ICL didn't try to correct him at all. He said, yeah, you came over here in the 69, I think he said the late 60s, and you brought people over here. The same thing they had in the Sun Times article, and the same thing they had that they said in the obit when you pull it up and look at it, the program. And that's not true. Okay, matter of fact, if you watch the whole thing, you'll see this alderman named Sawyer. He read it, and he read it evidently right from how it was written in the obit and in the newspaper. You understand? But ICL didn't bring 350 people over to the land in the late 60s, because he didn't even know nothing about the movement then. He didn't join the movement. He didn't find out about that movement till 1971. Simple as that. That's the history. We got it over here. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they try to do, this revisionist history, to blow him up. And like I said, I know why they do it, because they're trying to captivate, you follow me, all those who don't have the knowledge, all those who don't understand what really happened, right? Because they're trying to blow him up and bring more people into this movement. That's what the Edomites are trying to do, because they know that movement ain't going anywhere. That movement is done what it was supposed to do, what y'all said it was going to do. It's there. You follow me? But the Edomites, just to show you how convoluted the Edomites are, I don't know whether they coming or going. Here, like I said, last year they was talking about kicking out 45 families, about 100 and some other brothers and sisters that's been over there 20 to 30 years. And I said then when I talked about it, right? The prophecy in Yeshaya chapter 48, right? When you get down there to verse 9, what does it say? Yah's talking. He said, I shall, you understand, refrain for thee, right? That you don't get cut off, right? He said, I didn't refine thee with silver. That's why the Edomites can't put them out, because Yah is not going to allow it. Now, right, a year and a half later, right, about around a year and a half or so later, now if you look at that thing we just put up there, y'all put up there earlier about the situation with Jesse Jackson Jr., you understand, at this thing for ICL, but it was Edomite representative there. When you pull it up and look at it, you're going to see the Edomite flag to your right, you're going to see the American flag to your left. See? And again, it was to, uplift and prop up ICL in the sight of the people. At the same time, the way I see it, also, you understand, trying to vault Jesse Jackson Jr. into the people's eye off of ICL. Okay? And if you listen to ICL talking, he's going to say he's sitting in a wheelchair. Okay? Because this is back in February this year. You understand what I'm saying? And you're going to hear him say, you can barely make out what he's saying, but you're going to hear him say that the Edomites over in the land are not racist. And that's not true. That's definitely not true. Now, when I say that, I'm not going to say all the Edomites are racist, because you got a few of them over there that's not up with these Zionists. I've seen them interviewed in the past. They're not up with that Zionism. Okay? But the majority of them over there, and I do mean the majority, like 90-some%, they're trying to kill off our brothers and sisters, the so-called Palestinians. They killing them every day, blowing up their houses. This is going on every day and been going on for a long time. The brothers in Dimona, they don't have anything for them. It's only Yah that's keeping them there. like he said he would. See, that's why I say every time you can substantiate prophecy, it's underscoring that Yah is the creator. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Substantiate and confirm that Yah is he who creates. Simple as that, wasn't it? Okay, YHWH 1955, peace, brother, to you and Keturah. Should this be adultery, and should this male and female be put to death according to Leviticus 20:10? It seems to me Leviticus 20:21, the male possibly could have raped the uncle's wife. What? Leviticus 20:21? Let me look at it. Okay, it says, if a man shall take his brother's wife, it is an unclean thing. He hath uncovered his brother's nakedness, they shall be childless. You shall therefore keep all my statutes and all my judgments and do them, that the land whether I bring you to dwell therein spew you not out. Right, well again, you can't take your brother's wife. You follow what I'm saying? It's incorrect. That's committing adultery. You know, and if that happens, then they would be put to death, unless he raped her out in the field and she hollered, nobody was out there to save her. Then she don't get killed, but he does. Right? Say, and the man that commits adultery with another man's wife, even he that commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Right? Like I said, unless she's raped out in the field. She hollered, wasn't nobody to save her. So she don't die, but the man who rapes her dies. Now, if it goes on in the city, you follow what I'm saying, in the town, and she does it, then she must didn't holler, then they both die. What's next? You know, that's the situation we still up in the air with David and Bathsheba, right? Because we know Yah didn't kill Bathsheba. But she was supposed to be the wife of Uriah the Hittite. That's how it reads. Now it looks like David raped her. It looked like he planned it that way. That's why he didn't go out to battle, which he was supposed to do. That was the only way he could get Uriah out the house. But like I said, it looks like whatever happened, they was in the city. They wasn't out in the field, right? But we know David's servants didn't know anything about it, because that comes out later on. You understand? When the child that Bathsheba bore, and Yah killed the child, David got up, washed up, and said, bring me some food. It should have been the other way around. And his servants was like, what's going on? So we can see there that they didn't know anything about him and Bathsheba having any kind of, intercourse or whatever prior to Uriah's death. So like I said, it's something right there in the book, because we know Bathsheba didn't die. Yah didn't kill her. Now he killed the child, and that was blood for blood for Uriah, for David having Uriah killed. Because blood is for blood, right? Life for life, foot for foot, eye for eye. What's next? Okay, Duran, you said, when I mentioned on the session earlier on the YHWH 42, yes, I live here in Colorado, Grand Junction. The Colorado River is taking a hit, drying up. Also, thank you and YHWH for everything you carry on with in Yah Righteous. Your last session, I want you to know I felt your tears, emotions on being contrite along with our sacrifices unto this day. Yah bless you too, brother. And again, I mean, that's what we do. We bring these things out to confirm, substantiate, and to magnify, so that we can underscore Yah's word. We can see Yah's fulfillment of his word. And every time we do that, we understand that Yah is the Most High. I mean, that just, puts another coat, another underscoring of that. Okay? All right, now, Othani, you say the same way that the Edomites inserted the Greek word synagogue into the book of remembrance in Psalm 74:8, with Mizraim being mentioned in Genesis 10:6, the word Egypt seems to be another Greek word inserted into the book. Yeah, well, without question. Because you know what, Anthony, I mentioned talking with some people here about, I don't know, about a couple of weeks ago, and in talking to them, I said Mizraim. They didn't even realize I was talking about Egypt. I mean, the way the conversation went, at one point I said Mizraim, and not trying to confuse them or anything, but the way the conversation, I can't remember it verbatim now, but I used the term Mizraim, you know, and they didn't know what I was talking about. And I told them, I said, well, you know, Mizraim is Egypt. You know, because I think, as I think about it, you know, it's going to be like a triad in the midst of the earth when the whole book is completed and fulfilled, right? Egypt, Yah said Egypt is his people, right? The Assyrians are the work of his hand, and Israel his inheritance. And, you know, so it's going to be Assyrians that's going to turn to Yah and going to be about Yah forever. You're going to have Egyptians who going to turn to Yah and be about Yah forever. You know, that's talked about, right? Because they're going to build you know, like a representation for Yah on the border of Egypt, you know. And so, you know, yeah, Egypt is Mizraim, and very well, yeah, you know, because again, we know the languages are changed because we don't have the pure language yet. Like I said, you watch that ICL's services, and you're gonna hear them speaking. They're gonna say Hebrew, but it's Hebrew Edomite. It's Yiddish. See, it's not the language that we're gonna have, that pure language, because Yah has not turned the pure language to us yet, right? Which we see over there in Zephaniah chapter 3, 8 to like the 10th, 11th verse. Okay. All right, Zionaya, peace to you as well. You say you just saw how Chicago just made some charges regarding their bail policies. I saw, yeah, okay, changes regarding their bail policy. I saw where there would be no more cash bonds for such crimes as second-degree murder, kidnapping, rape, to name a few. Do you think this is set up so martial law will eventually be initiated? Could be, but again, you know, the main thing is that the people who initiate these things, you know, I don't have a problem with these people who into murder and kidnapping and rape, like you say, to name a few, these heinous crimes that are hurting people, you know what I mean? And they, you know, I don't, these people who perpetrate these things, they need to be taken off the street. Simple as that. I don't care who it is. They need to be taken off the street. Okay? Because these things are, you know, it's just crazy. These are the ways of the heathen. Right? Again, when this Anju, the Nigerian sister, I guess I got her name right or close to right, when she put up there about Queen Elizabeth, she said she hoped her pain was excruciating until she died because of all the things that the British Empire in their colonization of these nations, and her nation, Nigeria, and you know what they did in India and everywhere where they colonized, because you know that's where they coined that phrase, the sun never sets on the English flag, right? Britain was a major colonizer, and so, you know, because they're Germans, right? Just like we said in the past, you know, France, England, Germany, these is all Germans. They come out of the Franks. You know, you had the Ripuarian Franks and the Salarian Franks, right? Now, we know that this is what Hitler was espousing back there during the time of his time. Because he said they, you know, the Germans was the master race. In other words, he's going back to the genealogical, you understand, you know, the genealogical structure. In other words, the oldest boy is always, you know, the head of the house after the father. And so this is what Hitler was saying. You know, the Germany was the master race. They was the oldest in the house. But now, the way it has turned out, it very well could be, you understand? Because, you know, if you know anything about Hitler, he didn't have anything against the English. He never wanted to go to war with the English. See? But this again, this was instigated by the Illuminatis, you know, the illuminated Edomite. You follow what I'm saying? And again, it very well could be that the English were the actual genealogically the oldest of the Germans, you know, out of Japheth. You know what I'm saying? Or Japheth. I got that chart, you know, around here, but I haven't looked at it lately to show you the breakdown and, you know, the genealogical breakdown of each one of those three boys, right? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Because we, you know, you called me out. That's now we talking and that's generally how the genealogical structure, you know, is set up. The oldest first, then the next, then the next, then the next. Because we see that with Israel, right? So it's Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham was the middle boy. Japheth was the youngest. And Shem was the oldest. That's the way it looks. Okay, so Zion, now you say that only tickets will not be issued for those crimes. Will now be issued. Okay. Yeah, well, again, no bail, they're going to lock them up. They're going to start locking them up. Because, see, yeah, okay, you said you just saw Chicago just made some, okay, I just read that, right? Well, again, I kind of glimpsed at that. I think it's in today's paper. I haven't read it yet, though. I'll read it tonight or in the morning, but probably read it tonight after the you know, Q&A is over with. But the deal is crime is so bad, and it's rising across the country and in the world. And crime is so bad here, they're looking at doing, you know, things now, because, you know, with this what is she called, the head state prosecutor is this sister, you know, this state's attorney. The first time we ever had, you know, Israelite mayor, state's attorney, and the president of the county, all women, right? And so, you know, a lot of these Caucasians don't like it. You follow me? And the way it's got now, a lot of Israelites here don't like it because they want this state's attorney, Kim Fox, to arrest people when they arrest people on these heinous crimes. Don't give them, you understand, no bond where they can make bond and be still out here on the street. They want them locked up. See, but as I said before, I don't know if I said it to all you because, you know, that's dealing with this city. I know I said it to Yada. The way I look at it, the reason why Kim Fox has done this since she's been state's attorney, because, you know, who she has to kowtow to, Tony Pretwinkle, you understand? She's the president of the Cook County Board here. And she's over the jails. See, and the money is short. See, they don't have no lot of money. You understand what I mean? So Tony Pretwinkle is the only one that met her budget expectations here the other year. You follow me? And the reason why is because with these jails, they don't have all these people locked up that possibly should be locked up for the crimes that they commit. They don't have to, you know, they don't have to buy toilet paper for them. They you know, they don't have to supply toilet paper. They don't have to supply food. You understand what I'm saying? They can cut down maybe on the heat, on the water that's used, because you got to pay for all of that. You follow me? All that's had to be paid for. See? So that's why what they do with these ones who commit these crimes, what they've been doing, they take them in, they charge them and whatnot, and then they put one of them ankle bracelets, monitors on them, and send them on back out here in the street. But a lot of these people, they repeat offenders. So that's all they know how to do. That's all some of them want to do. You follow me? So that's why so many people are upset. So that's why they talking about now no bail for some of these heinous crimes like murder, kidnapping, rape, and so on. You follow what I'm saying? You know, using firearms. They want them locked up, and they want them locked up for, you know, for a long time. And don't, because a lot of these Caucasians and a lot of us, they tired of this crime. But see, again, what did I say on the first show we did with Mark back there in August 2006, August 2006? Didn't I say at the end, you understand, no jobs, you're going to have crime. See, and again, with all of these, you know, these youth that's been raised with these games, Grand Theft Auto, and these games where you shooting guns, you know, they got the red beam and they shooting guns on these games and all this stuff. They take that stuff right out into the street. Because that's how their minds has been shaped and formed and manipulated. See? And they see all of this crime stuff on the TV, like I said earlier, you know, where you can commit a crime and get away and live happily ever after. They believe that. because they don't have any light in them. So they keep looking at enough of these things coming across the tube that's telling them, right, that they can do all this heinous acts, make this money, and ride off into the sunset and not be accountable. You understand? You understand? Not be recompensed. They believe that. They don't understand that everything you do, you're gonna be brought into account for it. That's the law. That's Yah. I don't care whether it's good or evil. It tells us this in His word. Whether it's good or evil, you gonna be brought into judgment for it. But they don't understand that because they know not Yah. They know not the word of Yah. There's no light in them. That's what I just said to this person who want to call me a talebearer or say I'm doing wrong for revealing this stuff. Again, it's the truth. Why would I lie? If I understand that I got to get this back if I'm lying. See, and again, like I said, maybe these people will hear it. Maybe they'll call me, which they never did before. And they took what they had been told, you understand, and treated me nasty when I never did anything nasty to them, ever. And I'm not holding a grudge. This is just the reality of, and I have to tell this because this is what formulated, you understand, the reason why ICL came to me the way he came to me. See, this is how, like I said, how that Demona movement found out about the name of the Creator. It started calling themselves KOY. What's next? Okay, Elia, peace of Yah bless. You said question was intriguing. What's the law if a man puts away his wife, then his brother takes her? I'm in that situation. I'm in that situation, huh? Okay. In that situation, would they then be childless? Well, again, yeah. I mean, Yah is not going to allow them to back us but again, if the man puts his wife away and he divorces her, right? And then his brother hooks up with her, that's no problem about that, right? Because he put her away. He divorced her life, right? So his brother hooks up with her. Yeah, they can have children. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, again, like what Yahshua put up there, if the brother's having intercourse with his brother's wife, right, and the brother's still hooked up with his wife, then that's wrong. That's adultery. They both got to die. Unless, like I said, unless the brother rapes her out in the field, she hollered wasn't nothing to hear. Then she doesn't get killed, but the brother does. Because rape is not tolerated at all, any kind of way, in the way of Yah. Okay, Benaiah, peace, bro. To you and Zakiya. You said, did I hear about the Edomite Israeli Ministry of Health was caught lying and manipulating expert report on adverse events in 2021? No, I didn't hear about that. You said 12 months after rolling out the jab to the public, Edomites now admitted it was dysfunctional and did not allow the analysis of the data. Now, I did kind of hear some about that, right? Over in the land, they have the highest cases of corona, despite getting 2 to 3 jabs or doses, huh? Well, that's the same thing over here. How many times has Biden come down with it? He's supposed to have the jab, his wife, right? I mean, we constantly hearing that over here, so yeah, so it doesn't surprise me. And I did just hear here not long ago where they said it's coming out now about how these people getting the shot, but again, it's not working. I mean, people still coming down supposedly with it, but again, the way I look at it, once you get the shot, they put it in you, so you're gonna have adverse effect. You know what I mean? That's what they doing, right? And also, we've heard that, I read the article, matter of fact, I think in this session where, if I didn't, I should have, I might have missed it because I don't recall off the top of my head, but Moderna is, I think I did mention, but Moderna, right, is suing Pfizer because they saying Pfizer got the ingredients for them for the shot they've been given, And Pfizer then made multi-billions of dollars. So now Moderna, some of that money's supposed to go to them. So we were listening to this podcast here the other week, and this lawyer, Robert Barnett, who does a lot of analyzation on this different podcasts. He's on Duran, and then he's on this Via Freya. That's all. He's on that, and he said when he was asked about this, he said we might get a lot of stuff that comes out behind this now because you got them fighting over money, right? Divisiveness, greed. See, because again, that's what it's about too. These drug companies making all this money. I mean, they done made billions of dollars, and Moderna now, because Pfizer done made so many billions of dollars from administering this shot, they suing Pfizer. So now you got them turning on one another. So behind this, I think this Barnett said it might come out where Pfizer going to say that the shot that Moderna was putting out wasn't working. So they had to change the ingredient. So now if they say that, now Moderna got to come back and try to offset that. So you see what I'm saying? Divisiveness. And this is what the powers that be is coming back on them now, right? You follow what I'm saying? Because you got to get recompense. Whether it's good or evil, you got to get it back. I don't care who you are, who you think you are. It's just that simple. See? What's next? Okay, Anthony, you says, does touching unclean animals while they live make you unclean? No. Or is it the carcass of that animal? It's the carcass when they dead. Not supposed to touch them when they dead. That's the carcass, right? That's how that works. Because again, you got unclean animals. I mean, you probably got, if you got a farm and you got pigs, well, you got the pigs to clean up. Okay? But you don't eat them. And when they die, you don't touch them unless you want to be unclean. If you touch them when they die, then, you go and wash up and everything, clean the clothes, and then you unclean until the evening. Right? See? But you got unclean animals, like I say, pigs around it to eat the refuse. Keep stuff clean, you know what I'm saying? I guess they might have another purpose too. I don't know what for. Okay? So is that it? And just while y'all is looking, like I said about for instance, when I mentioned Donnie Trout, I hope he hears this. I hope somebody heard this and gonna tell him about it. You follow what I'm saying? And maybe he'll go in and listen to it so he can hear that. And like I said earlier, he'll understand the depths of how y'all allowed me to see this and put it together. See, because like I said, I've been knowing him since '69. We wasn't real tight or anything, but when I see him, it was always cool. Like I said, I took him home one time when he didn't have a ride. Like I said, he gonna act like that. You follow what I'm saying? And I know it's got to be because you got some people, and I know ICL was one of them, throwing some salt on this movement on me, because I didn't respond when they sending this YHWH Our Righteousness over here. Again, like I said, it happened about 4 or 5 times, and I circled the YHWH in red, underlined it, and put return to sender, address the unknown, and they never figured it out. Okay? And again, when I had the conversations with ICL, he never mentioned that. And I never mentioned it to him because, hey, it didn't matter to me. I mean, that just shows you the lack of light that was in them and the lack of being able to discern. And like I said, all they had to do, if they want to know about this, all they had to do was call. You understand? We could have talked about it. You know what I mean? But it wasn't a beat. Okay, well, let me read now. Yeah, so again, that looks like it. So again, like I said, in what I said, you should see I had no animosity toward ICL. And like I said, we have no animosity toward any of them. Any of them. Okay? Because I understood them. And like I used to say to Elliot Kidd, right? When he said to me that time, man, you should come to me. And I said, bro, I told you, y'all do what y'all doing, we doing what we supposed to do. We're gonna end up in the same place. That's how I say it. We're gonna end up in the same place. You know, because I know those who really want to be about y'all, but just confused, you know, didn't really understand, and they made up that movement. If they really want to be about y'all, they're gonna get a chance. They're gonna get a chance. That's what y'all lets us know. They coming over, right? Zechariah chapter 12. Because the governors of YHWH, Sodom and their daughters, when the Jerusalem movement is brought back, Zechariah chapter 12, where it say the governors going to come up and fight for Yah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem that day, right? And they're going to say in their heart, in the inhabitants of Jerusalem and Yah, their strong one is our strength. You follow what I'm saying? Because, you know, Yah said, you know, we're not going to exalt ourselves over them. You know, that's in that same chapter. That's when the descendants of YHWH and Benjamin and the descendants of the 10 tribes, right, that are going to be in the land so-called Palestinians, right, Sumerians, Ephraim, Israel, that's when they're going to be joined together in one stick. When Jerusalem is brought back and going to say to them, all right, all who's for y'all, come on to us. Right? Again, because descendants out of the 10 tribes is definitely out of the house of Yahusha. But we look at the one chapter by you, right? When we look at 14:8 Hosea, what does it say? It's talking about Ephraim, talking about the 10 tribes, but you know it's got to be talking about descendants out of the house of Yahusha, Ephraim and Manasseh. They're going to say, what have we to do with idols anymore? We've seen him, we've observed him. When you go to Zechariah chapter 10, what does it say about the descendants out of Ephraim? It says they're gonna remember Yah in far countries, and they with their children gonna turn again back to Yah and let go of this Islam and Christianity and all that garbage. That's why again we do these sessions, because they got to hear the message. They got to hear the report. Yeshaya chapter 53. Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yah revealed? Question mark. So stay focused. This is going to replay next week as usual. And stay focused. Keep reading, study, praying, and doing, and purging yourself of the ways of the heathen. For Yah righteousness, Jerusalem, and the Holy See, Yah bless everybody. Peace.